Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 6 of the GR Supra GT Cup. Let's get this started. Bring yourself to the right and brake just before you reach the 100 meter mark. You brake hard for a moment, ease off the brakes completely, and slowly start to accelerate. Just focus on letting the car rotate around the turn and make use of the whole width of the track. Now bring yourself to the left and brake just before you reach the 200 meter mark. You'll be braking hard for a long time and you're going to ease off of the brakes at the last moment just as you start to turn in. Just slowly ease off of the brakes and be very careful with your throttle input here. You do not want to get any sort of wheel spin going on. Just carefully accelerate your way out of this turn. Then bring yourself to the left and brake when you reach the 50 meter mark. This will be a very quick burst of braking. Bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn, and when the red road starts to get striped, just as you see here, that is when you can start to fully accelerate. Now this is where it gets really tricky. Stay on the left side of the track, gently turn in so you can go through this turn at full throttle. Now open up a bit for this next left turn. And the moment this turn ends, so the moment that the highway is straightened up for a brief moment, that is when you start to turn in to the right. Try to take this at full throttle without sliding around, without hitting the wall. So if you end up doing this right, you will be braking pretty early here, well before the 200 meter mark. If you mess up, then you can brake just a little bit later. Just try to bring yourself all the way to the inside of the turn, get the car to quickly rotate and then start to fully accelerate. Now brake just before you reach the 50 meter mark. This will be a quick burst of braking, then use a little bit of throttle control as you go through these turns. Use a little bit of braking for this right turn. Bring yourself to the right and brake at the 50 meter mark. Just get the car to slowly accelerate. Don't fight with the car, just let it rotate around the turn and you are good to go. But that is it for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and quickly talk about the strategies. For the qualifying session, you only have 6 minutes to try to get a good qualifying time. This qualifying session is a little interesting because you don't start at the start-finish line, rather you start a little bit before it. The pit stop is hanging out where the hairpin is at, so you only have a couple tenths of a mile to try to get the tires warmed up and then start your flying lap. Do note that the slipstream has been changed, so the slipstream is now 8 tenths of a second instead of 1.5 seconds, and it's a little bit stronger now, so because of that, you're going to be a little better off qualifying on your own without the slipstream. If you do end up catching the slipstream, you may end up catching up to the car ahead of you, and when you approach a hard braking point, you might need to slow yourself down even earlier, which will end up hurting your own qualifying time. And once you finish your first qualifying lap, you want to back out into the menu and then jump back in, and that way you can have a new set of sports hard tires and then start your flying lap almost immediately after. So with this 6 minutes qualifying session, you only have 2 chances to try to get a good qualifying time, so make sure you make them count. Now for the race strategy, the tire wear is a times 13, but because there aren't so many turns or harsh turns, the tire wear is not going to be as much of a problem as, say, back in Laguna Seca or Interlagos. I mean, the tire wear will still present a problem starting at around lap 6 and on, but it's not going to be as bad as it was in Laguna Seca, where the tire wear over there was a nightmare. You do have to be careful through these series of turns over here because it's going to be really easy to mess it up, and especially in the first couple of laps, you're going to have a bunch of cars kissing the wall and potentially end up punting each other at the hairpin. So you pretty much just have to hope and pray that you 1, get through that turn cleanly 8 times, and 2, don't get punted there 8 times. And the same is going to go for the dock over there, since that has a hard braking point as well. So practice this section of the track the most, since if you end up getting that turn nailed down, then you will be able to get yourself a faster qualifying time and a better time overall, better pace overall. And you may even be able to pick up a couple positions from those who ended up messing up. And let's go ahead and quickly talk about fuel and brake balance. So I had the brake balance set to 2, so 2 points towards the back of the car. That way you can try to even out the tire wear. And the fuel, that's not going to be an issue at all, so just rev the heck out of this car. To try to tire save, you want to be a little easy on the brakes, especially when you're going through the hard braking points. So if you can try to brake a little bit earlier so you can space out the braking a bit more. That way you don't have to be so harsh on the brakes, which will end up making the tires wear out a little bit more. And when you're going through the docks, you want to be really easy on the throttle. That way you do not get any wheel spin and generate more tire wear. And that is pretty much it for this guide. This race is going to be, I don't know what to think of this race, especially with the penalty system adjustments. This is going to be a bit of a meme of a race. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.